What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. Wanted to start this video off by showing you guys my new car. It is a 2019 Nissan Sentra. So nothing too crazy, but you know, nice little whip, nice dark blue. Tell you what, should actually get the trunk space. I'm gonna show you guys around the car real quick. And I just opened the gas. There we go. Alrighty, so as you can see, not a bad car. It's got pretty good trunk space. I don't know how well y'all can even see in there, but so, you know, when I'm picking people up, good for, you know, airport pickups, which are my bread and butter, but yeah. So there she is. Pretty happy with her. I'll show you guys a little bit of the inside now. I liked the window tint a lot too, because as you can see, it's hot and bright and no fun to be in. But alrighty, now we are at the inside of the vehicle. So this is the front of the car. One thing I do really like about it though is it has Apple CarPlay, which is a really nice feature. It kind of sucks for Uber and Lyft because you can't get them on the screen, but what I've been doing is I just get the address before the ride, put it in Apple Maps or Google Maps, and I use the navigation that way, which I think according to Lyft and Uber is a no-no, but whatever. It's a lot more convenient than having a phone mount. And then I hear I actually have a problem. If I have a phone mount up, my phone overheats because the sun is usually on it. So I really like the CarPlay. It also has climate control, which I really like, you know, and that's nice. Again, in the summer, I set the temperature and it just kind of keeps everything there. It gets about 35 miles to the gallon, so good gas mileage. So overall, a pretty solid vehicle for, you know, doing your rideshare driving. There's the back seat. So it's not the roomiest car in the world, but, you know, it's not bad. It gets the job done. It's the main thing. And then let's see, what other features did we have in here. The only other thing I can think of is it does have a feature where the volume turns up automatically when I get on the highway. So if you're that lazy, go get a Nissan Sentra and the volume will increase for you on the highway, guys. Amazing. Anyways, but now I'm going to tell you guys why I got a new car. So I was driving a Nissan Altima before this, and the reason why I had to get rid of the Altima, it was only a 2013, so it wasn't even 10 years old yet. It had 126,000 miles, which isn't like an absurd amount of miles, but you know, it's getting up there. The issue was I needed about $3,600 of repairs in the vehicle. So where I was at is I could either put nearly $4,000 into a car, and that was just in interior stuff. I also had a lot of little dings on the car from, you know, where I'd left it parked. I'd been hit where I was parked before, and there was a few other things that had just kind of somehow appeared on the car. So I probably had another $1,000 or $2,000 in exterior damage to take care of. But the main thing was $3,600 interior. So I was like, okay, am I really going to put almost $4,000 into a car that's high mileage? You know, in like 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a 10-year-old vehicle, which decreases the value. And all around, it was just not smart. And the honest truth is I didn't have the money to put into it. I was, you know, not really trying to put $3,600 of savings and money into a car and, you know, not really have anything left. I could have made it work with, you know, like 2 credit cards and what I do have saved, but all in all, it just wouldn't have been good, you know? So I really looked at it and I was like, okay, well, I think legitimately the smartest thing to do is to get a new vehicle. The other reason I didn't want to put all the money into my car was I did have a little code come up at the mechanic for my transmission. So my fear was I'm going to put money into this car and then the transmission goes out or something else because it's getting older. All kinds of things could happen. So I opted to do this. Now, here's the reality of why I ended up there, okay? Sorry, I'm just trying to get my phone steady. I did 80,000 miles on my car in 1 year. who wants to take a wild guess how I put 80,000 miles on my car, my old car? It was Uber and Lyft. It was ride sharing. Now, if you guys have seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I harp on not being a full-time driver. This is why, because when you're making $200-300 a night, you're not thinking about where you'll be 2-3 years down the road. But eventually you will end up where I was at if you are a full-time driver, okay? You will get to this point where you've got repairs to put onto your car. The other really sucky part about my situation was I owed more on the last car than it was valued at. So I had negative equity on the car. Where was I going with that? Sorry, guys. Oh, so, I mean, probably don't even need to explain that much. You don't want negative equity. Now, you're generally going to have negative equity on a car you're financing because cars lose value fast. My car was like very, very bad, though. I think it was valued $5,000 less than what I owed on it because of the amount of miles and wear and tear I had on the vehicle. And again, that all came from Uber and Lyft. Now, here's the reality. I had 126,000 miles in my car. I got that car at 16,000 miles, so I would be at about 56,000 miles without Uber and Lyft. 56,000 is not a lot. Like, that is a good, healthy amount to just have on a car, especially that you've already been financing for 3 years. You see what I'm saying? So if I had not done the Uber and Lyft, all those crazy miles, and I was still at, the 56 range, that'd be pretty good. Now, let's say I was just a part-time driver, and let's say I did like much less driving than that. We'll just say that I went from doing 50 or 60 hours a week to like 25. We'll roughly guesstimate that maybe I'm more at like 75,000 miles. Still not bad. Still not bad at all compared to 126 and all the repairs and all the junk I needed. And the other thing about it is it's city miles. You're getting all those mileage from city driving, so that's even worse. That's the worst way to drive your car. If you're just driving your car on the highway all the time, chances are that you won't actually have that much ever go wrong. But it's the constant braking and turning and all that garbage that ends up being really bad for a vehicle. And that's pretty much all you do on Uber and Lyft. So I am very, very happy with my new car, and believe me, I haggled and bartered with car companies for days. I got the absolute best deal I could have gotten on a new vehicle. I think from the start, they had me at like $150 more a month than what I ended up having to pay per month to get it. And so I really worked for it because I knew I was in a bad place, and I was like, I need to get this as low as possible because I'm in a bad situation, And so the other thing I did was I got gap coverage, and this is something I really wanted to talk to you guys about on your vehicles, because gap coverage is extremely important, I believe, if you're an Uber and Lyft driver, because if you're putting miles on your car, you're going to run into a problem like I had where my car was worth less than what I owed. So what happens is if you get in an auto accident, even if it's not your fault, you still have to pay the difference on the loan. The insurance will only pay you out what the value is for your car. So like Kelley Blue Book or whatever it is. That's all your insurance will pay if you don't have gap coverage. They will only pay what it's worth. And then here's the crazy part. So let's say you're in my situation. So let's say on my last car, I got in a car accident, got hit by a drunk driver and they totaled my car. I would have to cover that $5,000. Here's the craziest part. You have 1 month to do it, 30 days to do it. And if you don't do it, it gets sent to, a credit bureau or whatever, and it reflects on your account that you defaulted on an auto loan, which means you will never get financed by another car company until you have that taken care of and off your record. So gap coverage, I think, is something that's really important. I'm paying like $15 a month for it, which the reason why I got it, even though I got a new car, is I still had to absorb some of the loan from the last car. So think about it this way. I have some of the loan from the last car. When you buy a new car, you also lose, I think it's like 9 to 11% of the value the second you walk off the lot. So I knew that the day I left the car lot, my car was going to be worth less. And not only that, I also had the loan from the last vehicle, which means it's worth way less. So I knew I still needed gap coverage, because even if I'm driving safe and somebody hits me, I don't want to have 30 days to figure out how to pay that, and then it's defaulting on my loan, you know? So I believe gap coverage is something really important. It's something that I learned from this whole thing. I never had gap coverage, and I never looked into it until I got this new car, and I realized I should have had it all this entire last vehicle I was driving, but I didn't because I didn't know about it. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. I want to remind you guys again to be very careful with the full-time driving. You can end up in a position very similar to the one I'm in, where, you know, you're in just really a crummy position because of all the miles you put on your car. So that's all I have for you guys today. Best of luck out there. Be safe, get the gap coverage, or at least look into it, and have a good week, guys. Go crush it.